Hello, everybody. It's Kerry with the week ahead look from November 30th until December 6th. Um, Overall, I'm feeling like this is a week to penetrate layers and work beneath the surface. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of all of the Scorpio energy that we have got going. We've got the Sun, Mars, and Venus in Scorpio this week with Mercury going to join. I'm actually showing you the day here is actually Saturday to the 29th. That's the day I'm putting this out. So this is where we're coming from. You can see that Mercury is still retrograde while I'm making this video. And at some point today, it will go direct. So think of the next week ahead, starting tomorrow on Sunday, the 30th, as a kind of getting forward to normal. I'm saying getting forward instead of back, just because this idea of like, wow, everything was really stirred up by a lot of retrograde motion in the water signs. And so last week or a few days ago, we had Saturn go direct, and today Mercury will go direct, and then we're going to continue to go. And you can see that today on Saturday, Moon and Rahu, the Moon started out today as in Aquarius. It's already traveled over to Pisces by the time I'm putting this out. So Sunday and Monday and the rest of today, we have the Moon with Saturn, who is newly direct in the very beginning of the very last sign of the zodiac. That's a lot to unpack. But the overall feeling is that while Saturn was retrograde, and Saturn's magic is detachment, I'm going to make you let go of this thing. So while Saturn was retrograde, and especially in Pisces, which is the sign that implies endings that lead to beginnings. When things end, we have to let go. And to begin new things, we have to start walking. Anyway, so Saturn, while retrograde, really felt like it's very hard to know what to let go of. I know I have to let go of something, but I'm not sure what it is. It was hard to detach, even from obvious things that weren't working. So with Saturn direct, maybe that helps all of us take better stock of understanding what do we have to let go of and leave behind in order to begin to walk forward again. So today we've got that Mercury going direct as well. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it feels like, okay, kind of the only thing that's going on for the most part is the Moon is waxing through the zodiac. So starting in Pisces and going all the way to Gemini by the end of the week. So for the most part, the waxing moon is the big news. And for me, I feel like once Tuesday hits and the moon gets over into Aries by itself, I love when the moon is cruising solo without other guys in the box. It feels like that maybe is a little bit better of a work day. Monday, I might just take Monday off and pretend like it's still the weekend. So anyway, that's my plan. I've been thinking like, how are you guys supposed to use this information? And as I'm prepping this, I'm like, I should just tell them what I'm going to do. Maybe that would be helpful. So anyway, let me click you up to, this is Sunday the 30th. So this is really our official beginning of the week. You can see that the moon is up there in Pisces with Saturn. So moon's going to wax. Thursday, we get the full moon. And then there's like a slate of planets changing signs. So it sort of feels like things are steady, beginning of the week. Thursday, the full moon peaks. And then we have, that's on Thursday the 4th. On the 5th, Jupiter goes to Gemini. Retrograde Jupiter goes back to Gemini. The 6th, Mercury will go to Scorpio from Libra. And then later that night and before dawn on the 7th, which is next Sunday, Mars will have moved to Sagittarius. So we have a whole bunch of little shifts happening toward the end of this week. And next week, I'll probably be talking a lot more about Sagittarius. So this week, I wanted to focus on Scorpio, which is, you can even see the thumbnails I pick for my videos are actually on purpose. And I liked that picture because it had so many layers. It was water and ice, and you can see the rocks under there, and also the reflection of the sun and the reflection of the trees. That reminds me of Scorpio a lot, because Scorpio tends to be this watery sign, and even the coldness of ice, I feel, around Scorpio. And this idea of working beneath the surface of things is very Scorpio. What lies beneath? In my mind, in the earth, in a situation. We investigate and we dig when we're in Scorpio. So my suggestion this week is, with our Mars, Sun, Venus, and soon to be Mercury in Scorpio, I think we have a really good energy to be able to try to reorganize our direction by going really deep into the roots of things, rather than just dealing with the little fluff on the surface. Like at this point, with all of the direct motion coming from Saturn and Mercury, it does feel a little bit like a cleanup week where we're reorganizing, reorienting ourselves. And it might help for you to go, whatever you think is happening on the surface, and whatever communication or clerical errors you're cleaning up this week due to that Mercury retrograde that was going on, the answers might not be as obvious as you wish they were. So we might have to go deep, deep below for, where am I leaking power? How am I not understanding what somebody's saying? How am I not seeing their point of view? So anyway, that's the general feeling of the week for me. All right, so this is Monday. You can see that the moon is still up there in Pisces, but barely. It's 28 something degrees. So during the course of Monday, the moon will move over into Aries. So it could feel that you're a little sluggish on Monday morning or not motivated. Moon being with Saturn is always a little challenging because, especially a newly direct Saturn, it might feel like, oh shoot, I've been kind of ignoring my responsibility, and now I have to deal with this thing. I have to figure out what I want and where I'm going. So that could be your Sunday, Monday feeling. But then as Monday progresses, the moon will go over into Aries, and I'll show you Tuesday so you can see that's moon in Ashwini Nakshatra, which is the first nakshatra of the zodiac. It's associated with Ketu and healing and quick changes too. So think about, maybe if you're having a sluggish moment on Monday, push it off to Tuesday. Because once Tuesday hits, and Wednesday, the moon being in Aries puts a lot of energy with the Mars vibe, because we've got Mars, Sun, and Venus all in Scorpio, which is also ruled by Mars. And so it feels like Tuesday, you might start getting on track and getting those tasks done, or at least getting a plan in order. One more thing I wanted to just mention on a general way. With Saturn and Mercury going into direct motion, it feels like the practical part, or the operations of things, are supported by that. Like where we get to, oh, let's fix and tweak this and get that thing starting to build and going. But the Jupiter still in retrograde motion, and that's until March 10th, 2026. To me, the Jupiter being retrograde is difficult because it feels like the big vision is not clear. I think of Jupiter as being a big visionary. Even the sign of Pisces, very visionary, and Sagittarius, Jupiter's fire sign, is even more directed. So when we start talking about Sagittarius next week, we always want to have a plan and a direction when we're talking about Sagittarius. So with Jupiter being retrograde through March, while we're going through Sagittarius season, we still might have trouble finding the big vision, which is unsettling, actually. Like, where am I going? And why? Those are big questions. But with Saturn and Mercury direct, it's kind of like saying, okay, even though you don't know where you're going, you still have to pack your bag and you still have to get your passport and, all of the going on a trip things. That's just an example. So there's a bit of faith that's being demanded, I think, right now with that retrograde Jupiter. And especially with it moving from Cancer back to Gemini later this week, it might feel very unsettling. Like I really I don't know what my own plan is. So just keep doing the practical daily things Saturn and Mercury are telling you to do, and Mars and Venus and Sun. They're all getting their jobs done. So that was just one more thing I wanted to mention that I'm feeling about this week. All right, so this is Wednesday. Moon starts out the day in Aries again. So Tuesday and Wednesday looks good for getting things done. And then I'm going to click us forward to Thursday. So Thursday is the day, this is December 4th, the day that the moon gets full. So you can look at the degrees always. When the sun and the moon are exactly at the same degree, but opposite, that is a full moon. So at around 19-20 degrees on Thursday, when the sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Taurus, we'll have our full moon. Full moons are energetic in the sense of emotions and feelings and even positive clarity, like seeing clearly. I feel like the full moon helps us do that. And it makes us feel strongly, which can be positive or negative, depending on what those emotions might be. But the feeling I'm getting a lot from this full moon is it's a relationship pivot. And I say that because Venus and Mars tend to have those signs that have these dynamic relationship connections. And Scorpio being a Mars sign, and Taurus across the board being a Venus sign, it really brings in that feeling of, hey, midweek here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when the moon's hovering around Taurus, there might be some hard conversations in relationships. Note too that in Scorpio here that Mars and Venus are together and with the sun, so that sense of negotiating and but I want this and we need that and why are you doing this? Like, these are the conversations that might flare up this week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday especially. Okay, so that's the full moon, Thursday, December 4th. And then the next day, so this is the morning. I'm always showing you like around sunrise. I'm here in Colorado and that's why I picked it. You can see up there in the Jupiter, JP with the underline, that's retrograde Jupiter. Underlines mean I'm going in backwards motion. Rahu is retrograde all week for those also tracking that. Jupiter at 0 degrees 0 at very beginning of the day on Friday. He's about to fall back into Gemini. And I feel like that's going to be another adjustment or readjustment that we're going to feel next week, with a refocus into the air signs, with Jupiter and Rahu resuming their mutual aspect, which we've had a break from for about 7 weeks. So that's Friday, Jupiter moving back into Gemini. And that's going to set off a whole thing. I'm about to finish and publish my monthly forecast, so you guys can check that out. We talk about that in there. All right, so this is now Saturday, next Saturday, the 6th. So Jupiter's made it back to Gemini. Now take your attention to Mercury over here at the bottom, 2959. So at a certain point after Sunrise on Saturday, Mercury will be moving into Scorpio with that whole group, even giving us more energy toward penetrating down into the depths of things. Mercury is an analyst. Venus in there is a diplomat. The sun is a big light. And Mars, who rules Scorpio, is about to hop out of there too. Look at his degree, 2915. So by the next morning, Sunday morning the 7th, Mars will have moved into Sagittarius, which then sets up a whole Sagittarius season like I was talking about. And Mars and Saturn will have a mutual aspect. We'll talk more about that next week. So as the week winds up, we have both Mercury and Mars hopping forward, which I think is going to change the vibe of things, really, especially with Jupiter having returned to Gemini. So to recap for the week, Mercury goes direct. The moon is waxing. Monday, Tuesday especially, and Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday really more, look like good days for getting things done and being clear-headed and planning. Thursday will be the full moon, which can always be exciting. It's a Venus sign, and the moon is full in Taurus, and that feels social and positive. So, enjoy that. And then after that full moon hits, we got Mercury moving and Mars moving and Jupiter returning back to Cancer. So the first part of the week seems like a steady kind of heading toward things. We had a pinnacle on Thursday with the full moon, and then the cards start moving on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's what I got for you this week. I love it when you comment. It really helps me to know what to talk about. And I appreciate all the likes and shares and everything you're doing to help me build up my channel. Look out for the monthly forecast. It's coming right after this. And I'll see you soon. Thanks a lot for checking me out. Bye.